Hey, Steve Magnante here at High-Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts. The patch on my face is because I had a skin biopsy this morning, so it'll be on for the video. That's okay, I won't cry if you don't cry. But anyway, this is a 1992 Mustang LX 5.0, and a lot of people think the 5-liter only came in GTs. Not true. In fact, in 1992, of all the Mustangs built, 79,280, over half got the 5-liter HO motor in either LX or GT trim. The rest were kind of asthmatic 2.3-liter four-bangers. There were no V6s by this point in time. That was discontinued, so there was strictly V8 or four-cylinder powered cars. This one here has the mighty 5-liter V8. And again, he said 220 horsepower with the automatic, 225 horsepower with the stick shift transmission, which was an option. We'll learn more about the transmission in just a minute. Now, this one's kind of a cool survivor. It's 25,000 miles, actual miles, and a titanium silver metallic paint job, pretty uncommon. And we've got the Marty report in the trunk. We'll scope that out. Of course, second year for the 16-inch pony wheels. And like all Fox Mustangs, with the exception of the SVO, and of course the Cobras, these have four-lug wheels, which is sort of a reminder of the Mustang 2 days, which were reminders of the Ford Pinto days. So the Mustang wouldn't really grow up until the following generation, the S197, I believe it was, when they went to 5 lugs on all Mustangs, even the 6-cylinder cars, and of course the V8s had them as well. Let's take a look inside and see which transmission we have. And there it is between those bucket seats, the automatic transmission console and shifter. This was Ford's AOD, which is the automatic overdrive, and overdrive was about fuel economy and saving gas and, you know, giving you better performance than a standard 3-speed automatic from the old days. Now that transmission added $595 to the sticker price of this car, whereas the 5-speed manual is standard equipment. You will get that equipment as standard, but $595 right there for the privilege of not having to use a clutch pedal, which is fine with me. It also has the 140-mile-an-hour speedometer, which arrived in 1990, replacing the 85-mile-an-hour joke speedometer that was in effect from the late 70s right through 1989. And again, the reality is that 85 miles an hour, nobody really goes that speed. They go faster than that, but don't do it around the police. Just kidding. But anyway, 140-mile-an-hour speedometer, 145 actually, if you really go to the final niche on that thing. The speedometer on this, the tachometer, reads to just about 5,900 RPM, which this little 5-liter push-rod engine will absolutely do. And about that horsepower rating, if this was a stick car, it'd be a 225 horsepower 5-liter HO, but the automatic's got 220 horsepower. I'm not sure why, but I think it was about noise regulations, drive-by mode, and the manual transmission cars were a little bit louder, but the automatics were quieter, and thus 220 horsepower. And this car does not have power windows. In fact, that was an additional, I think $190 for the power windows. This has manual windows, which were standard equipment. Now, if you look at the armrest, you'll see there's a plastic block-off plate right there where the switches for the optional power windows would have gone. So that's sort of a hint of what could have been. If you ask me, I'll take the roll-up windows. And again, the LX was sort of a budget car. The price on these things was right around $12,000 as we see it. The GT would be about $4,000 more than that. So if you didn't really want the GT's ground effects equipment and stripes, this was the car for you. It's a sleeper, very fast car. One cool detail about all 5-liter HO Mustangs are the fender emblems say 5.0 with a little red dot hyphenating the 5.0 to remind you that this is not just a 4-cylinder car or even a V6 car from earlier years. The 5.0 was 225 horsepower with the stick, 220 with the automatic. Let's take a look. Oh, and by the way, these flush-fit headlights, these arrived in 1985 and a half on the SVO Mustang and were made standard on all Mustangs in 1987. So they were more aerodynamic right here, but previous Mustangs had sort of a void right there, which caught the wind and hurt the MPG factor a little tiny bit. But again, these are more aero. First seen again on the Mustang SVO of 1985 and a half and trickled on over to all Mustangs for 87. Okay, let's check out that 5.0 moneymaker right there. And if your name is Robert Van Winkle, you'll know a song called Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. And of course, he was talking about cruising in his 5.0. This is the engine he was talking about. And this is the beauty. This is a very original, unrestored car. Everything about it is very, very pure. It has air conditioning, of course. The rubber boot on the distributor right there to keep it moisture-proof and dry in wet climates. And just a potent little engine. Again, net horsepower, 220 net horsepower, which is more like, 270 or so in the old days of gross power ratings. So very realistic horsepower number. This car with a set of drag sticks would probably go into the low 14s with the automatic, and at a nitrous kit, you could probably get into the 12s with this car with no problem at all. And the Fast 5.0 drag racing class was a big thing thanks to these cars. Very popular vehicles then and now. Let's look inside the trunk and see what we find there. You got to remember the 1992 Mustang could be had in 3 different body configurations: the convertible, the fastback, and the sedan, as Ford called these, the notch, if you will. And the crazy thing is the LX was only available as a sedan and the convertible. The GT was strictly fastback, hatchback, if you will. And one thing about the LX that the GT didn't have, that it's kind of a shortcoming if you ask me, the LX 5 liters had these cool stainless exhaust tips that come out the back, whereas on the GTs, the rear fascia covers the pipes up and they go straight down toward the ground. So it's not as exciting. And when you have dual exhaust, you want to point that out to anybody who's behind you. And if somebody is behind you in one of these things and they don't have a 5 liter, they might wind up like this. So make sure you keep an eye on those taillights and the brake lights and the tailpipes. There you go, tailpipes. Okay, let's open the trunk and see what we have inside. And, while the hatchback would have more room, obviously, for things like small furniture, I suppose, if you have a bungee strap to keep it shut, and also groceries and luggage. The sedan, or the notchback, is not quite as commodious, to quote my friend Mike Joy from Barrett Jackson. You can still get a lot of luggage in here, or groceries, you choose. But one thing that's in here that's kind of nice is this, a Marty report. Kevin Marty is the expert pretty much on Ford history and production numbers. And here's the deluxe Marty report right here from Marty Auto Works, describing how this car breaks down. And apparently it's one of only 3 with front license plate brackets. He can get that granular, believe it or not. And when it comes down to the color, the titanium cloth articulated sports seats were 62 cars, and 108 cars were painted medium titanium clear coat metallic. We're talking about LX 5 liters, so that breaks down like that. But again, Marty Auto Works, he can decode your Ford and send you one of these puppies for a modest fee. It's well worth the investment. Okay, the wheels on this are worthy of note. These are the hallowed 16-inch pony wheels. They're 5-spoke wheels. And these arrived in 1990, replacing the 15-inch wheels used on LXs and 5.0s and GTs beforehand. And we remember those telephone hole and even the turbine type wheels. But the 16s, the pony wheels, arrived in 1991 or 1990. And finally brought the Mustang into the same league as the Z28 Camaro, with 16-inch wheels and modern rubber. And also the Quadra shock system on these things. There's actually 2 shock absorbers on each side of the axle, curb, axle hop fore and aft and up and down, replacing the slapper bar stuff that was done in 1982 up to about 1995. The Quadra shocks are a superior setup for controlling axle hop. So let's go under the hood once again and marvel at this low mile, 25,000 original mile Mustang LX 5-liter coupe. And keep in mind, they weren't all GTs. You can get the LX motor in the convertible, and also the 5-liter motor in the LX convertible and LX sedan, as we see it right here. But the GT was strictly a fastback and strictly a V8. Now that we know what this 1992 Mustang LX 5-liter sedan looks like, let's listen to it and take it for a drive.
What's up, guys? This is Danny at High Octane Classics. If you don't know, we're located at 143 Washington Street in Auburn, Massachusetts. We've got a huge selection of muscle cars. We're really starting to get into the 80s and 90s cars right now, and this is a perfect example right here of a 1992 notchback Mustang. This car is absolutely out of the wrapper, a sweetheart, unmolested, never modified car with just over 25,000 original miles on it. It's an automatic. I know some of you bum out about that, but this car is still an absolute blast to drive. Very rare color in the gray. When we do the whole walk around video, you'll see it. No disappointments with this car at all. It drives absolutely beautiful. We'll try to see if we can get to a point around here we can take it through its paces a little bit and have some fun with this car. But this car was the car to have back in the 80s and 90s, and especially a notchback now, they're really hitting the roof. And if you like this one, we also have a whole bunch of other ones that we're going to be doing some videos on shortly, like a 95 Cobra R, one of I think 250 ever made, with 8,000 miles that just came in. So if you're looking for notchbacks, you're looking for 80s, 90s cars, come on down. Check out our website at high-octaneclassics.com. Be sure to get on our YouTube channel, and if you want to see the cars that come in before they hit our website, make sure you join our Facebook page, which is High Octane Classics. All right, guys, we're going to do a little more spirited driving. Let's see what this little 302 has to offer. You ready? Hang on there, Shanes. Here we go. Wow. I remember back in the day, these were so much fun. You know, comparison to today with, you know, my T-Rex has 702 horsepower. It's not that car, but it's just an absolute ball to drive. These are little tire burners. And these cars we used to do donuts with back in high school in the day and had an absolute ball with them. They handle great. They're very reliable. Ice cold air conditioning in this thing. It's just an absolute ball to drive. I could see myself daily in a car like this. It's just the best of both worlds. It's a muscle car. It's a fun little toy. I mean, it's just great to be able to get in and go somewhere without having to worry, is it going to overheat? Is it going to misbehave? It's virtually a brand new car. Not a squeak or a rattle in this thing. It is no doubt been well loved all of its life. Obviously garage kept. And, you know, who knows if it's ever even been out in any kind of bad weather with the condition of this paint, and the underside doesn't even have any speck of rust or corrosion whatsoever. These are their true time capsules, and these are the cars that are really starting to go up. If you remember, you could buy one of these cars for, you know, almost $20,000 less a few years back, and they're just increasing and going up in value every single season. And they're getting harder to get, right? And people that are grabbing them, my age, and they're holding on to them. So now's your chance to buy one. This is definitely the one to get. If you're looking for a really clean notchback, this is the one, because I'll tell you, if you could experience what I am right now driving this car, it's out of the wrapper, like so tight, like it's brand new. And you kind of get a sense, hopefully, from the video of how nice this car drives.